the Eagles need a wide receiver, but should they consider signing Odell Beckham Jr. just to keep him away from the Giants and the Cowboys? Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great Sunday. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. It feels good to be back. It feels good to be able to live stream, you know? And there's a lot of people over the course of the last week asking me, yo, Philly, should we sign Odell Beckham Jr.? If not, just to keep him away from the Cowboys and the Giants. Now, we're going to get into it in a second, but before we do that, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like button. More importantly, make sure you subscribe for Daily Eagles content, NFL content. You know the deal. Double check, double moonwalk check. Make sure you're still subscribed. Now, this is a question that I've been asked, gosh, quite a bit this week. Hey, what about going out and signing Odell Beckham Jr.? Would you do that if you were the Eagles? Just to keep them away from the Cowboys and the Giants so they can't get any better. Here's my thing. The Eagles do not need another wide receiver. I mean, listen, if they were to do it and you know, make your team that much better, sure, it would be nice. But I don't think it's something they need to do, okay? You know, we have A.J. Brown, 43 receptions on the year. He's absolutely killing it, you know. But people also forget, Devontae Smith has 40 receptions. He's only got 3 less receptions than A.J. Brown. Now, I wish they would use him a little differently. Like, a lot of his passes are short, intermediate, so he doesn't have the yards that A.J. Brown has. But he has the ability to do it. You remember the Washington game where he went long, no problem going up between two guys and mossing them. So I think they could probably use Devontae Smith, you know, with more deeper routes than they do. But, you know, everything is working, so I'm not going to complain. But people forget, Devontae Smith only has 3 less catches than A.J. Brown, okay? Dallas Goedert, he has 40 catches on the season also. So you have plenty of guys getting the ball, and it's hard to get one ball to all those guys. Balls. You know what I'm saying? But it is. So if you bring Odell Beckham Jr. in, who's he going to replace? You're going to want him to, what, be your third wide receiver? Replace Quez Watkins? Well, I don't think the Eagles use Quez Watkins enough already. I think they need to use him, especially take some shots with Quez Watkins. But it was nice to see Quez Watkins get going against Houston. And I like Quez Watkins. I think he's got tremendous upside. Zach Pascal, over the last few weeks, has started to make his presence known on this team too. So I think you have really good, your 4 wide receivers are really good. Then you have Britton Covey, who is there primarily for punt returns. I don't think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to come in and do punt returns. So I would say this, all right, because I've had a lot of people say, would you sign him just to keep him away from Dallas and the Giants? I don't think so. And here's why. I got too many young guys with too much upside. I think you're okay at wide receiver. And, you know, and the other thing is this. So let's say Odell Beckham Jr. signed with the Dallas Cowboys, because I think going to the Cowboys is a bigger threat than going to the Giants because of the quarterback. So let's say he goes to Dallas. Let's say he signs next week. It's going to take him a while to adapt. He's got to get cleared and be ready to go from his injury. Then he's got to kind of get used to playing again, right? He's got to kind of get in shape and his feet underneath him. By the time he does all that, you're talking really late in the year, okay? And here's the thing. You may be saying, well, they'll have him in the playoffs. He could become dangerous in the playoffs. Really, when you look at the history of that kind of injury, a torn ACL, right? In the Super Bowl. Well, he had it in the Super Bowl, but torn ACL usually takes 1 full year to come back from. If you remember last year when the Giant fans were writing Saquon Barkley off and saying to me that they wanted to trade him, and I was saying, you can't judge Saquon Barkley on this year. He's coming back from an injury that usually takes 2 years to get back that burst to be the guy that you were. Well, Odell Beckham Jr. is going to have the same problem. But here's the thing with him. He got hurt in February. He got hurt during the Super Bowl. So he's not even a full year back from that injury. It's going to take a whole nother off season. Now, if this was September of 2023, I'd be a lot more interested in Odell Beckham Jr. than right now. But for this year, I wouldn't sweat him on Dallas. I wouldn't sweat him with the Giants because he's not going to be Odell Beckham Jr. who's 100%. He's not going to be that one-handed catching Odell Beckham or the Odell Beckham Jr. that was with the Giants. Even the Odell Beckham Jr. that looked really good versus with the Rams last year. You're not going to get that Odell Beckham. He's going to be a shell of himself for at least one full year. And he's 30 years old right now? So to me, Odell Beckham Jr. is just a nice name. It's a nice name, good player, but in terms of what you're actually going to get back, I would stay away from that injury. And if I was the Giants and I was Dallas Cowboys, I would stay clear of that injury. Now, Dallas is a little more desperate. Maybe a team like Green Bay wants to go for him or something. I think a guy with that injury is not going to give you what you need. He's just going to not look right. I think Dallas is already dealing with that with Gallup. Gallup has come back from the injury. He don't look like Gallup to me. He really doesn't. So I think the Eagles having to worry about Odell Beckham Jr. going to Dallas or going to the Giants doesn't scare me at all. Both those teams are not going to be that much better by acquiring him. If this was September 2023, I would think a little different. But as of right now, for the end of this year, for this season, I don't think it really helps them that much. I really don't. Because he's coming back from, a torn ACL. That is a tough injury to come back. There's only one guy, and I say this all the time, there's only one guy that I saw the first year back from a torn ACL look really, really good. And that was Adrian Peterson. Okay, he got going. It was unbelievable. But most guys, what happens is they come in, they lack the burst. They just don't have it. Okay, they don't have that burst that they had. And then what happens to these guys is they seem to get a lot of other injuries. They get a hamstring on the other side, on the other leg. Maybe they hurt a shoulder. It seems like they're always more they're more receptive to other injuries and like little nagging things coming back from an ACL. You remember with Carson Wentz, when he came back from his, he had all sorts of injuries, especially with his back. That happens to a lot of guys. I don't know if it's just an overcompensation thing with their knee and using other leg or relying on other parts of their body, but it always seems like that happens. So I do not fear Odell Beckham Jr. going to the Giants. I do not fear Odell Beckham Jr. going to the Cowboys. I would not sign him if I was the Eagles. I would go along. I got A.J. Brown, 43 receptions. Devontae Smith, 40 receptions. Dallas Goedert, 40 receptions. Okay, and then you got Zach Pascal emerging. You got Quez Watkins and all the talent he provides. Though the Philadelphia Eagles are absolutely fine at wide receiver, and they're so much better than Dallas and the Giants that they don't need to worry about going out and trying to prevent them from being better. It doesn't scare me one bit. If I'm the Eagles, in actuality, what I would look for right now is I may look for a person off the practice squad or maybe somebody out there that I could bring in to shore up the run defense while Jordan Davis is out. I would consider that. I would also still consider a way to upgrade my punt return and my special teams return abilities. I would not mind finding somebody on some practice squad around the league that has done it before, that can do it, and then plucking them off somebody's practice squad and bringing them in and then letting them go out and do returns. I think those are the two areas. Otherwise, I think the Eagles are locked in, man. I think you got everybody that you need. We're all we got, we're all we need, right? That's what they say. I think so. The Eagles are ready to go. What the Eagles need to do is, and every team needs it, is need to stay relatively healthy. The Eagles need to improve their run game, and they need They need to keep that killer instinct. They need to know how to put teams away and how to win. They need to know how to go for the kill. The coaches, Jonathan Gannon, Nick Sirianni. I think Sirianni the last 2 weeks has done a better job of this, but I still think Jonathan Gannon, he needs to know when there's blood in the water. He needs to know, all right, we got this team on the ropes. We just have to finish them. And I think a little more aggressiveness on defense will go a long way for the Philadelphia Eagles. I do not like the whole bend don't break, just give up 3 points. I don't like that mentality. I think you need to be more aggressive. But I'm not going to complain too much. It's very hard to complain when you're 8-0. When you're 8-0, how are you going to complain? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I've had a lot of people this week ask me to give my opinion on whether the Eagles should go out and get Odell Beckham Jr. My personal opinion is stay away from him. He's coming off a torn ACL that he had in February, and that he's not going to be 100% for the rest of this year. If you really were serious about trying to get him, you're better off getting him next off season. Coming back September 2023, he'll look a lot better than he's going to look at any point this year. And if the Dallas Cowboys or the Giants want to go spend money on him and bring him back in, they're desperate. It's not going to help them. Dallas is already dealing with this with injuries. And look how I don't think Gallup has looked good at all. I've even said it in screams that he doesn't look like he's got any burst, and that's expected. Look at Saquon Barkley, perfect example. Look at the burst this year in Saquon Barkley. Look at the burst last year. Completely different. He looks like a completely different person. You have to give this injury time, and it usually takes at least 1 full year. And it's going to take Odell Beckham till 2023, in my opinion. So if I'm the Eagles, I pass. Concentrate on what you got and just get better with that run defense. Be a little more aggressive. And we're going to be at 10-0 very, very quick. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Oh, Philly Shakedown podcast is back, baby. We're back because we can stream again. So, yes, now I just want my strike removed. And we'll see what happens. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Remember, how we vision. We're all just living in it. You know what I smell? Do you know what I smell? Desperation. Desperation of the Cowboys. Especially Cowboy fans. They're scared of the Eagles, man. There is no doubt. They are scared. They are upset. Why are the Eagles 8-0 and they're 6-2? They don't understand it. They think that Dak Prescott's going to help them. They have no clue. They have no clue. I think they're going to lose to Green Bay and Minnesota in the next 2 weeks. And it's going to be very interesting. But Cowboys, go out and sign Odell Beckham Jr. Go ahead. Because you know what? The Eagles, we're good with what we have. That's just the truth. Denzel Washington, out.